Conor and will describe to you how to make the foam plate glider in Chapter 5 of the Grade 6 Student Handbook.
To begin this task, I'm going to show you exactly what you are going to need. You're going to need 3 foam plates, 2 sheets of A4 paper, a pencil, a straw, a glue stick, a ruler, the Grade 6 Student Handbook, a hot glue gun, some spare glue sticks, a pair of scissors, and to act as a weight, a clip, or alternatively we can use 2 washers. Now to begin, we turn to page 78 of our student handbook, and under step 1 we begin with use a sharp pair of scissors to cut the rim off of 3 foam plates. Be sure not to remove any of the flat surfaces of the plate. So we take our foam plate and our scissors and we cut around the outer rim. We must be careful not to take out any of the flat surface of the plate because that will be used for the manufacture of the glider plane. We can now discard the outer ring, and here are 2 other flat plates that I cut out earlier on. Now step 2. Take the template shown at the end instructions, use a sharp pair of scissors to roughly cut out the groups of graphics as shown. Now if we turn to page 90 and 91 of our student handbook, like so, a lot of schools do not have the facilities to print out, so instead what we can do is use the A4 sheets of paper and carefully trace over the templates shown. This will help students with pencil control, which will later be used for sketching. Encourage students to take their time with this process. When we have one page finished, we can now begin on the second one. Now we have both templates drawn out, and our next step is to take these templates, cut them out using a pair of scissors, and then we're going to transfer them onto the foam plates. Now, whenever we have that completed, to help with the visualization of how this project is going to be completed, I'm going to lay out all the paper pieces in order as they would be assembled. So here we have our fuselage. We have the middle wing, the outer wings, the tail section, we're going to take each template piece and we're going to glue stick them down onto the foam plates. Whenever we have all our paper template pieces stuck onto our foam plates, we should have something like this. Now on to step 5. Place the foam piece on a surface suitable for cutting. Use a knife with a new sharp blade for cutting the foam pieces. Now, for safety reasons, we're not going to be using knives, and I would strongly urge you not to allow any grade 6 students to use the knives. Instead, we are simply going to use a pair of scissors. It does exactly the same job. So we can begin by quite patiently cutting around the paper templates on the foam plates. Now, whenever we have that complete, we should have 7 template pieces just like so. And on to step 7, lay both fuselage pieces on your work surface with the foam side up as shown. Use a glue stick or adhesive to apply a thick, even film of glue over the entire surface of both pieces. For good adhesion, be sure the entire surface is covered. So we're going to take our 2 fuselage pieces like so. And for using the hot glue gun, I would strongly suggest that you do a safety demonstration first, and that a workstation is set up beside a socket in the wall. This will avoid any tripping hazards with hanging leads over tables. And we're simply just going to apply hot glue onto one fuselage pieces, keeping fingers away from the tip at all times. It gets extremely hot. And we're going to glue it down like so and squeeze together. The next step, under step 8 on page 81, it says, now take the center wing section and use the edge of the table and handle of the knife to create a curved down leading edge as shown in figure 8. So we take our middle wing section and we hold it over the edge of the table, and we just push down and create a bend across the front, across the hatch line which was on the template. Now, and we should have something like this. If we want just to further bend it down, we can use a ruler and just pull it up and just bend the foam in the plate. The next thing we have to do now is to take the fuselage and the middle foam piece, which we're after bending the front of, and glue those together. So we can use the hot glue gun and some masking tape, and we're going to glue right along the center of the middle wing. To add extra support as well, I'm also going to add some masking tape. Ensure that it's at exactly a right angle between the middle wing and the fuselage section. When we have that complete, the next step now is step 11 on page 83, and it says, now turn the glider upside down, then use a sharp pair of scissors to carefully cut along the line as shown. Slot in the straw. You can apply some glue and some masking tape to strengthen the tail boom. Just like so. Ensure that the straw or the tail boom is exactly straight all along the fuselage. When that is done, now if we look at the bottom of page 82, we replicate this by placing the scissor inside the straw and cutting a short straight line on the upper side of the straw, and that is going to make room for the tail section. Now to make the tail section, we cut into the upright fin and we simply push them together. Ensure that our cut is just long enough, and then just slot them together like so. To strengthen this, then we can also add some masking tape or hot glue. I'm going to use some masking tape. ensure that the upright fin is going to be exactly vertical. If the fin is not vertical, it's going to affect the flight direction of the plane. Now by step 16, we should all have something like this. And the next step, it says to apply some glue to the root of the wingtip and attach it to the center using the wing section. You have to support it from the bottom. Repeat this step on the other side. Once it is dry, apply some masking tape. Be careful to not apply too much. Also look for symmetry on both sides, so it both should look the same. So we're just going to place our glider plane flat like so, and we're going to get our outer wing sections and place them along the middle section. And I'm just going to apply some masking tape. Try and apply an even amount on either side, otherwise this will have an effect on the flight. If there's more weight on one side of the plane is just going to fall in that direction whenever it's thrown. Encourage all students to be really patient with this. You want to ensure that the outer wing sections exactly match up with the middle wing section. Then we turn our plane over and we glue or we masking tape from the upper edge also. When our plane is complete, you will notice that on its first test flight, it will not be successful because the front of the plane is much lighter than the back of the plane, and it will not maximize the distance that it is going. So instead we're going to have to add a weight to the front of the plane, but we want students to learn this themselves through discovery-based learning. So if they test out the flight and let them casually discuss it and figure out what they could do to their glider to get it to travel further. So what I'm applying now are 2 washers either side of the front of the plane, at the very front of the fuselage, just like shown at the bottom of page 86. And then we do our final test flight and see how it travels.
When the step-by-step process in manufacturing the glider plane has been complete from page 78 to 86, it is now time to turn to page 94 and look at design, make and evaluate a new glider. This is where the design process learned in chapter 2 is now going to be applied into students' own creativity. It says the glider plane must be cheap, easy to produce, easy to assemble, attractive, able to fly straight up to 10 meters and able to resist landing impacts. The students must create their own brief, they must create their own design criteria, they must research examples of glider planes, whether it be online or through books. They must design, draw up their own solutions, then make it and test it. The aim should be that students will be able to accomplish a flight length of 10 meters. Afterwards, they will then evaluate it, and that will be the entire design process complete. Students will then peer assess each other.